to the good stuff. So no matter what company you're at, the things we're going to cover today are all located in the same place. So let me start off there. My center section might look a little bit different than yours, and I'm talking about this company page. If you are a My Real Source member, and by the way, we have more than just My Real Source members on the call. We might have members of the Saginaw Association or Bay County Realtor Association. All of our vendors are welcome to take our classes. So if you're with another association and you're using Paragon through My Real Source, you might see your center section looks a little different. Your center section also might just be controlled by your MLS. So everything else today is going to be exactly the same, but this center section may look slightly different. Where I am, our broker actually controls it so we can see upcoming things. Keep in mind, the center section is going to be the only different area today. We're really not going to talk about that because we're going to actually focus on the many ways to search in Paragon. Now, I'm going to tell you the good and the bad. And that's why they are kind of scared when they let me teach these classes. Some of the good is there's some great, easy ways to search. One is relatively new. And again, if you joined us a little bit early, you probably heard me say it came from many years of complaining. And we have a lot of realtors on our tech support team, on our staff. And really what we were trying to do is find a way that we as agents had more information and faster. We could search faster than the consumer could on Zillow or Realtor.com or wherever they're searching, Redfin, whatever it happens to be. So what we built is something called the full addresses field. I'm going to show you that in just a minute, but it allows you to type to 30 addresses in one field. Hit enter, pull them all up. With one click, you could text them over to your client or email them to your client, or just go through them. So I'm going to show you some of those great ideas today too. And you can copy and paste into that field. So if they emailed you a bunch of addresses, you can just whip them in that field, pull them all up quickly. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to use some examples today so you can see it. But the reason I'm saying that is the middle section, as I mentioned, is going to be slightly different depending on where you are. But one of the things I didn't like when I'm just going to show you the way you probably see it. When I logged into the MLS, I did not like the way this front page was set up. I thought, you know what? First of all, it's cumbersome. All the stuff I really need is down at the bottom. How stupid is that? Because remember, the tech people, they don't sell houses, so they don't always know the logical flow that we use as agents, right? So let me actually show you very quickly what I did to just make it easier. The things that I use as an agent, I want right up here at the top, meaning I want my quick search. And by the way, you can customize your dashboard any way you want. If you grab this top blue bar where you should be able to see my mouse at this point, and you drag it into position, you can put these boxes anywhere you want. Now, where I want them is, I have a listing that we just closed up. I wanted every day to see how many appointments we had in this new listing. I wanted to see, did the appointments I requested get confirmed in showing time? I also wanted to see if my buyer had any new things that they favorited. So these are things that I wanted at the top. So over here, I have my showing time widget. So I can see, did my request for my appointment get confirmed yet? Did my listing get any new showings today? I want to see all of that right here. My market monitor, the market that I may be watching, a hot target area, new listings that are coming into the office, my listings. I want all of that to really be very front and center. Then down here, I have all my client information. And again, all you have to do to move these into position is grab that little blue bar. Set it up so you have everything you need right front and center. That really is the key. Okay, so how do you search in Paragon? If you're new to Paragon, the problem I find here is that there's multiple ways to search depending really on what you're looking to do. So let me show you a couple examples. My frustration as an agent was that people were finding information about 123 Main Street faster than I could find it. So that's really what this power search is up here at the top. All you have to do is start typing. So let's say you want to find 123 Main Street. Start typing 123 Main Street, and you can see the 123 Main Streets pop right up here for me to look at. And as you can see, there's quite a few. Maybe I don't know which one of these I'm actually looking for. So you can always click on the listings 10 here to bring all of those records up. Actives, by the way, will always be at the top. Pending will be just below that. And then, of course, it's you'll find closed, expireds, because they may have actually closed a few times, right? So at this point, if I'm looking at this list, and I'll just be honest, I have a little OCD, so this is like a nightmare list for me. Sort it. So you want to think of your results being sorted as kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. If I click on the top of the column, it's now going to sort active with actives, closed with closed, expired with expired. So I can see the records that I'm looking for. All I have to do now is click on the MLS number. I can go right into the listing ticket. I can obviously jump to the next listing ticket. All that information is going to be right here for me. If I want to look at the photos, I can see all of that directly from here. So Power Search as a handy way to find one property fast or one MLS number fast. So if you type in an MLS number in here, by the way, you can actually type in multiple MLS numbers. I don't know why you'd want to do that in such a little field, but you could use a comma and type in 2 or 3 if you had them. But really, the goal of the Power Search is just to allow you to find one property fast. So if you're looking for Cherry Street, you're going to type in 123 Cherry Street. I'm just grabbing some random examples here. But always active and pending are right here at the top. So if you just got a call and they're sitting in front of 123 Cherry Street, you're going to find 123 Cherry Street active, 123 Cherry Street pendings right at the top. Because obviously, if you're getting a hot call, you want to be able to find that fast, and it's usually because they saw a sign or they've just located that property somewhere, so you want to be able to find it fast. Again, if you wanted to see if you're maybe looking for comps and you wanted to go through all of those closed records, you can simply click on the listings 10 and pull all of those up. So you can do one property address fast, you could do multiple MLS numbers, or you could even do an agent name. So if you're looking, if maybe you just showed, I'm going to use Aaron here. Maybe Aaron just showed my listing and they're going to send, Aaron's going to write an offer. Well, then really the key here is if you type in an agent name, down here at the bottom, you can quickly find their contact information. You can find properties that they currently have listed. You can see I even have some closed and properties here. And the idea is it helps you find one property or a couple MLS numbers or one agent really fast. That's the goal of the Power Search. You're in a hurry. You just got a call. You don't want to put in a lot of information. You want to put in the minimal amount of information and find everything you need. And that's the way to do that. Remember also, if you joined us late, you can ask questions throughout the demonstration by simply going to the questions box in your GoToWebinar panel, and I'm going to stop every few minutes and we'll go ahead and address them as we're going through. All right, so the confusing thing to me when I started using Paragon many years ago was there seems to be multiple ways to search, and that's exactly, when you think of this, it will kind of make sense. Power Search is really for finding one thing fast, right? You can sort different options, but if you're looking for one address or one agent or maybe 1 or 2 MLS numbers, that's a great option. However, if you just got a floor call and you're just quickly looking to pull up some homes to talk about, you're not really just looking for one specific address, then maybe the quick search is how you want to search. Now, I'm going to be honest, really as an agent, when you're working with a buyer or you're setting up the collab center, which we're going to talk about, 90% of us are really using the full traditional search. Okay, so very few times do I actually use the quick search, but it does have some cool things that I want to show you are there. When you are really working with a buyer and you're setting up their haves and wants, and that buyer says, you know, Mary, I really need a 2-car attached garage. We'd really like to have a fireplace. By the way, I'm looking to purchase it on a land contract. That's a lot more detail, right? And so that's really what we're doing when we're working with the average buyer. The Power Search is, again, great for finding one thing fast. The quick search is, I need to find a couple things. You know, maybe they just sent me a couple addresses. But the quick search, if you have not customized your quick search with the full addresses field, that's what you're going to want to do right now. And here's why. as I mentioned, I was frustrated because I couldn't plug in 20 addresses on one field and find what they were finding very easily on these other sites. So we complained as staff to Brian, who's a brilliant guy, writes, can write code. He builds a lot of things. I mean, kind of is really amazing on the tech side, but he's never really sold a house, right? So he builds really cool things, but we had to say, we want it to do this as agents who work here. So we asked them to build a field called the full addresses where you could put up to 30 addresses in one field, hit enter, immediately send them with one click over via text or via email, or just find those properties in general faster. So let me show you exactly how that works. So in the quick search, you can customize exactly what you want in your quick search. So if there's not something in your quick search that you want, you can add it. So this would be more if I am taking a floor call and they've rattled off, want to live in Sterling Heights. I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, how do I find those fast? Not a lot of detail, but just enough to start talking with them. And that's really this quick search over here to the right. It does save your quick searches. So if for some reason you start doing something else and you need to go back to a quick search, you can actually see your quick searches are here. You can also load a saved quick search that you've saved. So you can do a couple different things here. But this is really what I want you to take away from this. As agents, we use this occasionally, but we really use traditional searching more. But if you just got a call and they said, hey, I'm looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom home, you can literally tab your way through. And I'm looking in Sterling Heights. You can see how fast I'm filling in the information. I just start filling it in. Very easy, right? And so it's all well and good. However, the full addresses field is set up to do so much more for you. So let's say you just got a call from, Mary just got a call from a buyer. They found 123 Cherry Street on Zillow. They also have some questions about 456 West Street. They've also are inquiring on, what was that, 196? No, it was 169. Sorry, I just closed a property trying to remember the address so we can use it in our example. Bookster. So you can just keep, as you can see, I keep entering more and more addresses. Maybe you're looking for information on 41539 Wessel. Now, obviously, if they're finding these generally on Zillow or Realtor.com, probably put in all active or pending so you don't get a bunch of closed results and I don't have to weed through everything. I don't even know. I didn't grab some real life examples, but you can kind of get the idea. As I type, I'm just hitting enter and it's pulling in all of those property addresses for me. And you can enter up to 30 on this field. Now, the confusion here is when you log into Paragon, you may not have full addresses. You may have to add it. And by the way, there's something called multiple address. That is completely different. That's if you know it's one street and you know it's between address 1 and 5 on Maple Street, you can do that. That's really not what this is. This is designed for you to be able to put in up to 30 addresses, find them quickly, and send them over to your buyer. But there's some other things. So we built this and Brian was like all excited. He comes in, he goes, okay, you guys have been complaining about this and now it's here, but it didn't work like we needed it to work. Because what if it's Cherry Avenue or Cherry Boulevard or Cherry Way? Well, what we did is we actually built in a hidden wildcard. You can't see it, but it doesn't matter if it's Cherry Avenue, Cherry Street, Cherry Boulevard, it's still going to pull it up for you. But then the next challenge with this field came up, right? Because that's really how this works, right? We try to map all of the data together. By the way, we are the MLS with the most data sharing in the state, more than any other. We have 97% of the state of Michigan in our data share. We have exclusive data shares that you can't get through anyone else either. No matter what MLS you're with, they have exclusive data sharing partnerships with us. So I'm happy to say that we now can actually say we have more data than anyone else. You have 97%, even up in the UP, you can find homes and show them, schedule through showing time, all that good stuff. Okay, so we've got our addresses in, and what happens if it is 41539 North Wessel Drive? And here's where the kind of the magic sauce comes in. As I mentioned, if it's Wessel Drive, it's already going to pull that up because it's got the built-in wildcard right where you kind of see that X. There is a built-in wildcard right there. So it will pull up Wessel Drive, Wessel Court, Wessel Place. No matter what it is, it's going to pull it up for you. However, if it is 41539 North Wessel, or let's say it's even this. Let's say Mary just got a call from a buyer, and that buyer says, Mary, I'm sitting on Gratiot Avenue. And Mary says, well, I see one on North Gratiot and South Gratiot. You're not sure which one, and you want to pull it up quickly so you can describe to them. Does it have blue shutters, right? You can actually use an asterisk before the street name. And no matter if it's north, east, west, south, whatever the pre-directional is, it will still pull it up for you. So think of that asterisk. Now, you do not need to put the asterisk at the end. That'll kind of screw you up. But if you put the asterisk beforehand, if you don't know the street directional, it will still pull it up for you. So I thought that was really cool. So again, you can pull up, I don't know how many actives or whatever, so I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to hit search now. I'm basically going to pull up all of those listings quickly so that when I'm on the phone, I can, and hopefully they're actives and pending, so it makes it really, really simple. But I can pull up all of those listings very quickly. And again, I can simply now text the ones that they're interested right over to them. There are all these great share buttons right here at the top. If I want to send this, let's say I'm looking at these and I'm saying, okay, we're going to send this one, and this one. We're going to pretend these are active just for our example today. I'm going to hit the share button. I can share them to that client via text. I can pick from someone I maybe already am working with in my contacts in Paragon. Simply add a new client. I can put in their first name, their cell phone number, and I can send it over to them immediately. Same thing with email. If you just wanted to email it to them, you could go ahead, you could print it off from here, you could email it over to them. The idea is it's very, very simple. And when they receive it, by the way, they are receiving a very user-friendly, and I'm actually going to show you what they receive. They receive a very user-friendly interface because let's face it, we as agents have a hard enough time just learning the MLS. Our clients cannot look at those MLS reports and go, oh yeah, that totally makes sense, right? They're used to easy interfaces. They are very used to things like, Zillow and Realtor.com and using their finger to search where they want. And they can do all of that in the Collab Center. We're going to talk about that today too. All right, so easy to use that quick search. I'm just going to go ahead and close this to kind of go back to our menu. Easy to use that quick search over here on the right-hand side. Then you can save your searches. But how do you make that quick search even more beneficial as agents? Remember, the people who generally make this, they generally aren't selling real estate, these tech people, right? So what order do you maybe want to have your quick search in? So let's look at that next. Your quick search can be reordered, or you can add additional fields. If you don't have that full addresses field, I'm going to show you how you can add that in. So pretty much almost every screen in Paragon has this little widget up here at the top. So if I click on that little widget, it shows me everything that I have in my quick search. By the way, you have thousands of fields to choose from. But if there's something that you're not searching on quite often and you want to remove it, like maybe I don't want year built or original MLS number in my quick search, you can simply select it, hit remove, and you can also drag and drop these into the order you want. So if you want price here at the top, maybe you want area at the top, the most important, right? You can drag those into the order that you want, and it will remember that. After you hit apply, it's going to remember that. If you don't have full addresses, which is a field I love, again, it was kind of my baby because I kept talking about it for a long time and wanting it. All you have to do to find full addresses to add it to your quick search is go up to this find box. Just start typing in a keyword like full. Here's full addresses. Check it off. Hit add. And again, you can drag and drop it anywhere you want in your quick search. So don't be afraid to customize your quick search so that it works best for you. You want to be able to simply tab through the information quickly. And if there's stuff in there that you never use, like originating MLS or original MLS number, pull it out of there. Put stuff that you really use to search for your clients all the time. All right. So if you have any questions, now is a great time to go ahead and throw them in that questions box. Again, it's located in your GoToWebinar panel. But as I mentioned, really most of the time, so kind of a quick recap. Power search, awesome for finding one property, couple MLS numbers, a quick agent to send an offer to. That's a great power search. The quick search over here, really quick if you're on the phone, want to find a couple properties fast to discuss with them or maybe email over to them. By the way, you can copy and paste addresses that a buyer sent you via email into your full addresses, and that will work as well. If you're copying and pasting, just remember you want to include commas in between before you do your search. That will separate the addresses. Otherwise, you can just hit enter and it's really super easy. However, most of us really are, when we're working with buyers, we're using the traditional searching. And where you find that is right up here in the top toolbar, going with the America theme today. Actually, I just haven't changed it to the fall theme yet. But so if you go up here to the search, you can search by obviously class. You could search by your own inventory. You could search by a hot sheet. You could find an agent's inventory or a broker's inventory. Find even further records here. You could pull up saved searches. But today we're going to kind of do some run-of-the-mill examples. So I'm going to say we're working with a buyer today, and we are going to search for a single family or residential home. I'm going to show you some examples in doing this. Just like I showed you in the quick search, though, you can also customize this the same way. Pretty much everything in Paragon can be customized to suit your business, but a lot of people don't know that. So if I wanted to add something or I wanted to move something up, and maybe I want status right here at the top, I can drag and drop that into place. Just remember you want to hit apply. And what you're going to notice is that is going to, the next time you open it up, it's going to save all your preferences. So let's do a couple examples. Let's say we are working with a buyer. If you don't know what goes into a particular field, I know we have a couple new people on the call, you can always click into the magnifying glass and you can see all of the options. It's very important as agents today that we understand what these different statuses are too. Because the rules differ. And quite honestly, I'm not a huge fan of ABOs. Coming soons I get. I think people misuse them, but coming soons I get. And kind of the history, because I know a lot of people hate these new statuses, but let me tell you a little bit about why some of these changes happen. So what was happening is Mary, great agent, got her buyers in the back seat. They're driving around. They see this great house, sign in front of it with Joe Schmagegi Realty. And they say, you know what, we love that. Mary goes back to the office or uses her mobile app to try to find it. It's not in the MLS. Kind of frustrating, right? So another day goes by. Mary's calling the number on the sign. She can't get her people in there. Now a week goes by. Her clients say, hey, you can't even get us in the house and we're not going to use you. They call directly and guess what happens? They end up double dipping these listings. This was becoming very common practice. And these pocket listings were popping up all over the country. So that's when NAR got involved with Policy 8. You probably heard a lot about it. And it basically said, you know what, if you're going to advertise a property coming soon, you can do that, but you only have then 24 hours to get it into the MLS, and it can only be a coming soon for up to 7 days. On day 7, it rolls into an active listing no matter what. And advertising, just to be clear, could be a Facebook post. And here's where it gets really kind of tricky. Could be your clients advertising it on Facebook, just saying, hey, we're selling our house. Any type of advertising when you're using the coming soon only gives you 24 hours to get it in. So these are things we haven't had to worry about. But you know what? We need to explain them to our buyers because they're seeing them on Zillow and they're calling you like, why can't we get in? Let me explain. It's coming soon. There's an activation date. Let me also be very clear that the activation date is the only time anyone can show it. I mean, the broker, I mean, people on the team, I mean, the agent. If it is a coming soon, it can absolutely not be shown under any circumstances. And it's really for the benefit of the seller, right? Because you may not be the only one to bring a high offer. It could come from Joe Schmagegi down the street. So it was really set up to level the playing field so everyone could see it. Do I like it? No, I really don't. But it's better than me not being able to see the listings at all in the MLS, because that's what was starting to happen. That's where this went. The one I really don't like, though, when it comes to statuses is ABO. Because what ABO says is we're accepting backup offers. Well, guess what? According to license law, you always had to accept backup offers. And you always had to tell, even if a backup offer came in, your job is to present to the seller any offer that is written, right? Even a backup offer, or letting them know, hey, I have this backup offer. It's for this if anything should happen. So what ABO really is, and this is why you want to tell your buyers, and especially right now, poor buyers. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. They've written with their agent, who's no longer their agent now, 7 offers, and they lost out each time. They're unfortunately their VA financing, and that is, it is a struggle right now for those VA buyers. So my heart goes out to them. But they were, saying, look, we're writing all these offers, and it's a struggle. But one thing the agent didn't let them know, and this is where they kind of got their heart broken, was ABO, accepting backup offers. What that means is, hey, guess what? We're going to accept your backup offer because there's an offer that's signed on the property. They need to know that before they fall in love and write another offer and get all excited about it. They need to know that, hey, you might not get this because it's literally being sold to someone else at this point. So it's those things that we need to have those conversations. So those are what those statuses are. But again, really, if you don't know, like if I'm setting up a buyer today, I generally don't always put ABOs in there. I will usually do coming soons because they're going to see those on Zillow. I want to get them in there first. I'll do active, things going back on the market, but I want them obviously to see the actives first. The things you need to know, right? Type. If you don't know what they're asking for in a field, again, simply go to the magnifying glass. It's just asking, are they looking for a condo? Are they looking for a single family? I never really got why farm was in there, to be totally honest. Just kind of seems weird, but that's unfortunately where it falls with Rezo, so that's where we have it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick residential. You can add things. Now, I recently did a little bit of, I listed a few properties in Detroit. It's hard to search in Detroit. If you've ever tried it, just trying to do the map and you're trying to find, sometimes in Detroit, because it's such a large area, sometimes it's even easier to search by things like zip code. I found that really helpful. Zip code is generally not there, but you can remember, you can go to customize and you can add zip code in. You can also add full addresses here, just like you saw before. All right, this next one I'm going to explain why. I like to give a lot of examples because let's face it, it's real estate technology, and sometimes we don't know, well, why would that make any sense, lady with the fuzzy hair? So I try to give explanations because this was something I wish I would have known 10 years ago because it really used to frustrate me. So that's kind of when I built this class. It was kind of like, wow, how come nobody shows you that? So one of the things that I struggled with, if you are working with an investor, so let's use Aaron. Aaron's working with an investor, and they said, you know what, Aaron, we're looking for fixer-uppers right now. There's not a lot of inventory out there. We'll look at anything in Genesee County, Macomb County, or Oakland County. But there's 5 or 6 cities that, we just haven't had good luck with. We don't want to see houses, or we don't want to automatically receive in our collab center houses in this city, this city, this city, or this city, because we just don't think there's the turnover. We won't make enough money in those particular cities on flip. Okay. So you can't tell me, because let's say there's 26 cities just in Macomb County. I certainly am not going to go in and grab a map and start entering 26 counties. I don't want to just, and you could just put in the counties, you could do that. But remember, we want to exclude a bunch of cities too. So how do you do that fast and easy? And for the longest time, I could not figure it out. And then somebody said, well, Colleen, here's a really good trick. And I'm like, wow, why don't we show that trick? So if you are looking to add a bunch of cities very quickly, Let me give you a little tip. And I apologize, I'm actually going to grab my power cord. Let me give you a little tip. If you go over to the right of the area right here, this is where you can find a complete list of cities. So when you're looking for a large group of cities, here. When you're looking for a large group of cities and you don't want to have to keep typing them in, you can actually use an identifier to simply find all the cities in a particular county very fast. There we go. Let's say you are looking for all the cities in Macomb County. We'll just use that one because that's where I'm standing. You could actually type in the county identifier, and I'm going to show you how to find this really fast. And you could say, I want to see everything that is in 50, Macomb County. This is going to show you that there are 26 cities in Macomb County. So I'm just going to adjust this to 50 so we can see all of them. So let's say this investor said, you know what, Colleen, that's great. I want to see everything in, but you know what, I'm not too interested in maybe the Roseville area. I didn't make enough on my last clip in Mount Clemens. Memphis is a little far out there for me. So you literally can just deselect the cities they don't want. Now watch, when I hit save, all the other cities, and you can do that for multiple counties, all the other cities are right there. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, that was kind of fast, Colleen. How do we do that again? The first thing is really knowing the county. And here's another little tip. If you don't know the county identifier, and by the way, they're the federal county identifiers, not that that means anything, we call them FIPS numbers. If you start typing in a county, it's going to show you the identifier for that county. So if I want to know what the Oakland County identifier is, I just start typing and it's going to show me right there. So it's really easy. Once you do them once or twice, you already know them. It's kind of stuck in your head. But here's the key. So if I'm looking for all the cities in Oakland County, I am going to go up to the area, click on the magnifying glass. So Oakland County was 63. I'm going to type in 63 and I'm going to say, I want to see everything that begins with a 63. Here's all the cities in Oakland County. I see there's 65. So let's change this to 75 so we can see everything. I want to add in everything in Oakland County, but you know what? The price is still pretty high in Berkeley. Probably can't do a flip just there just yet. Brandon Township, we'll skip, maybe Bloomfield. I now can enter all of those counties and just remove a particular one or two. Much, much easier, I think, than having to go and weed them all out. I just think that's a much easier way. But no one ever showed that to me. So I kept thinking, you know what? If I ever teach a class, I'm going to show them how to do that and find ways to add all those 65 cities in very quickly. Or again, you can kind of weed through them. If you're just looking for one or two, again, all you have to do is type in area, start typing in the city name, and you're going to be able to quickly find those. But here's something else I didn't know. Maybe I'm the only person that didn't know this. But I guess when I think of Clinton Township, I think of in Michigan, I thought, because apparently I'm not very knowledgeable, in Michigan, when I think of a city, I think of there being one city. I literally did not know that there are 5 Clinton Townships in the state of Michigan. So I set a client up early on and I picked the Clinton Township I thought it was, and it wasn't. And they weren't getting any houses and they weren't very happy with me. So how do you know when there are multiple cities like Marquette? There are multiple Marquettes. There are multiple Rosevilles. I did not know that. When I think of a state, I think of it having one Clinton Township, I guess, in my mind, but I was wrong. So if you are under area and we'll use Clinton Township because that's kind of a good example, you can see there are multiple Clinton Townships. How do you know which is the right one when you're setting up a search? Goes right back to that county identifier. I can see the Macomb County identifier is 50. Therefore, if I type in Clinton Township, because remember, now you can see the whole state due to data sharing. So if I type in Clinton Township, I can see the Clinton Township I want is going to be this one right here that begins with the 50. That's identifying that that's the Clinton Township in Macomb County so that I select the right one. So hopefully that's making sense now. I'm not looking for leases. I'm just looking to show them what's for sale. And you can, again, tab right through. So maybe they're looking for a ranch style house. So you want to do a 1-story. And this is really where you're putting in your buyer tabs and wants, right? You can do multiple counties, multiple cities. We'll use Sterling Heights here for our example. And all you have to do, again, is start filling in the information of what they're looking for. Are they looking for a basement? Yes, no. Not sure. Are they looking for a garage? Yes, no. But what happens when they're looking for that additional level of detail? What happens when they say, Mary, we're looking for not only a garage, but my mother-in-law is going to live with us and we need an attached garage so she doesn't have to walk from the house to the garage. Let's find that additional level of detail. Because here's what happens. This is where agents sometimes, when they're setting up their collab center, sometimes get themselves in a little trouble. So if they say to Mary, the most important thing, Mary, is that we have a finished basement, or the most important thing, Mary, is that we have an attached car garage. I see garage, yes or no. Well, where do I add that extra level of detail? Or maybe they want to purchase on a land contract. I don't want to send them everything, especially if they have very specific needs. Maybe they have to have a pole barn. Maybe they have a boat and they want their boat to be very close to Lake St. Clair. There are these types of things where adding that extra level of detail is important. So let me give you an example. So if Mary's working with this client and this client says, Colleen, don't send me anything Mary, don't send me with anything without a finished basement. And Mary's sending everything with a basement, but half of them aren't finished. Now they're calling Mary and saying, didn't we tell you we wanted a finished basement? So how do you add that extra level of detail? And that actually comes in the features. There are thousands. I think there's probably close to 8,000 features in the feature codes. I know when we brought on the UP, we had to add over 1,000 just for them. Because believe it or not, they had some things we hadn't even considered in data sharing. Like, I kid you not, this is a true story. I got a call from one of their members and they said, Colleen, and at first I thought she was kidding. So I felt all bad because I laughed, and because as an agent, I have sold in a lot of parts of the state, but I had never had this request. But they said to me, hey, where's the field for outhouse? And I laughed because I thought she was being funny. And she said, no, we have a field for outhouse. Up there are still some places that you can't plumb because of the extreme cold and hadn't had main city water. So there are things in there that you may never use, but there's things in there that you definitely will use. So how do you add that extra level of detail? And that's in the feature codes. Features work like this. In must have, this would be a client saying, okay, Colleen, I must have a finished basement in order to even to want to see it. I must have an attached garage or I don't want to see it. Very simple, right? Attached garage, you add it in. That means anything that automatically comes on the market with an attached garage with their criteria can automatically be sent right to your buyer. You don't even have to do anything. You can set it on auto drive so it does it for you. Then there's the must not have. Maybe your client says, Colleen, we had a really expensive pool. We do not want any pools. We do not want any in-ground pools. We don't want to see anything with an in-ground pool. So must not have. Another example that I've used this for quite often, I had a really nice couple, and unfortunately they were getting a divorce. It's in Macomb County. So in Macomb County, you have to have well and septic tested in order for it to be conveyed in sale. And the husband explained it was a new septic field. Turns out it was not. It was over 20 years old. And unfortunately, he put a pool on top of that. If you know anything about septics, that's not a good idea because they crushed all the pipes and it's now leaking like a sieve. And it was going to cost, right before closing, they found out, $17,000 for a new raised engineered septic field. And she was very not happy. So when she called me to buy her new house, she said, Colleen, I don't ever want you to show me a house with a septic field. Don't show it to me. Don't send it to me. She's very adamant about this. It was very important. So She had, so I put in for her, must not have a septic field. Nothing with the septic field then went to her, and she was very happy. So that's kind of a good example of must not happen. I've had that happen a couple of times. People sometimes don't want to maintain septic fields. So that's a good example. Then you have must have one or more. And I'm going to show you a really fancy way to do all this. So don't worry. Maybe you have a client, my best friend, Lisa Harris, she is a client that he has a at-home gun manufacturing handle business. He makes like jade handles for guns and fancy stuff. And they said, hey, it has to either have a pole barn or an oversized lot so we can build a pole barn. We have to have either one of those because we've had this home business and it requires a lot of space to, manufacture with the machinery that we need. So long story short is if it has to have at least one of those items, so whether if it has a pole barn or it has an oversized lot, it will automatically go to them. It has to have one of those features in order for it to make it over to her buyer. So let's face it, with thousands and thousands of features, how do you know what features are there? Because you might not know the keyword, right? I mean, how do you know what options there are for basements that they might be looking at? So here's a little trick. Just like I told you, if you don't know what goes into a particular field, you can always click on that magnifying glass. If you are looking for a finished basement, you can go right to the basement type, select must have finished basement, bam, they're only going to get things with finished basement. So that's one example. Another one would be, let's go to garage. Here's our attached garage. They only want to see things with an attached garage. Maybe you want a one-story condo. You don't want anything on a second floor. Maybe it's a person who expressed they can't do stairs well. There's another option. There's also some in here that most people are unaware of. So let me show you those. I get more calls on this. Well, they're only looking for homes that they can purchase on a land contract. And I'm sending them everything. And then I call and the sellers won't even entertain a land contract. So there's ways you can search by financing. Maybe they're looking for HUD financing. Maybe they have a 203K. They've been approved for a 203K loan. These are all ways that you can even search on financial terms. Then there's water features. Maybe Mary's working with a guy who has a boat and he says, you know what, hey, I don't care if I am on the canal or if it has lake frontage, or even if I'm on Clinton River, I just want to have my boat where I can put it in the water and keep it at my house. You can actually must have at least one of these. As long as it has one of those items, then it's going to make it over to her client. So some really easy ways to add in those extra levels of detail. All right, so hopefully that makes sense and you're kind of following along going, okay, that makes sense. So the features are adding in that extra level of detail. But what if we'll switch this up a little. What if your buyer says, you know what, I like this one area of the city, but I'm not too keen on, maybe south of 12 Mile. How do you do that? And that's more in the mapping. So let's take a look at that next. When you go into search by map, this allows you to add up to 10 shapes on your map. It will automatically open to where your office is located. So it'll have that big red X. You can change that if you want in your preferences, but that's really what the MLS knows mostly about you. But there's a couple things you can do. If we'll switch this up a little bit. Let's say that you were looking for comps for your listing appointment tonight. So let's say you are looking for comps on 41539 Wessel Drive. You're, of course, going to go up and type in Wessel. Leave off, this uses Google Maps, so here's a little shortcut. Don't put in the drives, the ways, the places, the avenues, the courts. Think of it like Google. Less is best. You're going to get all the right results if you simply do it this way. The route street address, minus the drives, the ways, the places, comma, the city. That's really all you have to put in. Let's take a look at that. We're going to hit the magnifying glass. It's going to find that property. It says, okay, we found your listing appointment right here. But now we want to do what an appraiser is going to do, right? We want to see properties within 1 mile or a 1 mile radius And as you can see, it's now pulling in those active properties within 1 mile. Now, there's some very neat things I did not know in here, so I'm going to show you those too. You would be doing this more on the comp side. So let's say you wanted to adjust what you have here. Maybe we're not just looking for actives, but we're now looking for closed. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking for comps, I'm looking for closed. I can jump from the map to adjusting my criteria very easily. But if I just put in closed, of course, I'm going to get like a million dates. I I really hate this. I hate these MLS calendars. Like if I were going to do 6 months back, I got to click on the calendar, wait for the calendar to open, pick on the date, click, click 6 months. What a pain. Did you know you can just go right to the date range and say, I just want to see stuff 6 months back? Okay, that's a more manageable number, right? Now, if I go back to my map and these stay open all the time, so you can bounce back and forth, I can now quickly see all the properties that would be comparables for my listing. Obviously, the more criteria I put in, the less properties I'm going to see. If you're looking at these clustered numbers, basically means the flags are very close together if you're looking at it kind of zoomed out like we are. So you can always just click on the cluster itself and it will show you the properties over to the left. You can jump right into a particular property by simply clicking on the MLS number. All right, so hopefully that's starting to make sense. But here's something I didn't know, and I wish I would have. What if let's say you are doing comps, especially in like the St. Clair Shores or Harrison Township area. Let's say that you're looking in your 1 mile radius, but that 1 mile has a good deal of it on the waterfront. But you're not listing a waterfront home. So we're going to say, hey, Mary's got all these beautiful $1 million waterfront homes, but I'm listing a little brick ranch and it's quite a bit off the water, and her $1 million waterfront homes are going to radically screw up my 150 brick ranch, right? It's going to really mess us up. So how do we exclude something in that area? And I did not know that you can draw a shape on a shape. So what I mean by that is if you go to this drawing tool over here, and I kind of prefer the Paragon, I think it's nice and easy. We're going to pretend that Mary has these beautiful $6 million listings. Way to go, Mary. But and although we're really excited for Mary, we're going to pretend this is waterfront right here. We really don't want to mess up our CMA and have to exclude a bunch of stuff. You're probably thinking, well, lady with the fuzzy hair, didn't you just make a shape on a shape and add stuff in? Well, there's one more step. This time we're going to go to edit. We're going to say, yeah, you know what? I want to not include. This blue check mark means it's included, but I want to not include Mary's $6 million listings there. So I've now removed that particular section. So I'm not bringing in all of that waterfront. This is also very helpful if it's a large subdivision and maybe half is new construction and half is older homes. I find that helpful as well. So remember, you can always exclude a particular area. Okay, something new that I want to show you is if you are, let's say you are you're going on a listing appointment in St. Clair Shores or Harrison Township, and the home that you're comping out, has to have flood insurance. Maybe you want to make sure that the other homes that you're looking at also are probably in a floodplain area. Or just looking with a buyer who says, Mary, I don't want to have to pay flood insurance. It's really expensive these days. And you want to have a visual map of where that is according to the FEMA maps. All I have to do is go over to these little blue layers here. It kind of looks like 3 pieces of paper stacked up. You're going to click on those and you're going to say, okay, let's add in those floodplains. Now, what I'm going to do to see them is I'm going to zoom in because floodplains are small. As you can see, as soon as I did that, it gave me a visual indicator. Now, I do always tell my buyer, this is not an elevation cert. This is not saying that it's 100% going to be. It tells me visual indicators where I can expect that I may need flood insurance, or what that actual FEMA map references is. Should I get an elevation cert? If it's in the orange here, pay for an elevation cert if it hasn't flooded in 500 years. So to get that removed. So it's a visual indicator that at least allows you to see that on your map. So a good friend of mine, Flo Apke, like her a lot, did my very first deal with Flo Apke. I was very nervous, and she brought up a great example the other day that I had not thought of. And I love when people give me examples. If there's ever a question that you have or an example you have, call me, or call tech support and they'll put you through to me because a lot of times when you're asking these great questions, it's stuff I can bring into these classes and say, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. So her question was, she was looking, I believe was it someplace a little bit north. I think it was even in the north of Genesee, but it would work in any county. And what she was saying is, Colleen, I am working with a firefighter and he's a volunteer firefighter and he has to live within the city limits. Now, he's looking over a big area. How do I know the exact street that Schwartz Creek stops in? How do I know where to search? Because by the way, you can really move in and you can see all of the streets. And she says, but how do I know where I want to stop his search? Because if he lives one street outside, because he's a volunteer firefighter, he can't, and he can't be on the force if he lives outside. So there is also municipality lines that you can draw. So she was searching, and basically you can draw the municipality lines and see exactly, and as you zoom in closer, you can be really to the, right to the spot. But you can apply the city names. So I can see exactly where Sterling Heights stops and starts. I can see exactly where that Utica, if they're a firefighter in Utica and they have to live within that area, you can see you really want to be very concise here. So it allows you to add these layers on to make it even easier. Or, maybe Mary has a buyer who's very particular and says, what, hey, we don't want to live in some little dinky lot. We need some room. We want to have some space. We want to make sure we're in a sub with larger lots. You can even go to these parcel lines. You can even, and by the way, the big thing with parcel lines is you want to remember to zoom in because that's going to give you the most detail. But when you click in a parcel line, it will not only show you the lot size and the lot lines, but it'll show you, even if it's not listed, by the way, it will show you right over here the Google Street View of that particular house. So not only can you see the parcel information, but you can actually see what that home looks like. Maybe you want to check out the neighborhood. Did you know that you can actually grab this little yellow Google man, especially if you're going on a listing, and you can actually set it in front of the house? You can move, you can walk down the street. Let's say you want to check out the whole neighborhood. By the way, your buyers can do this too in the Collab Center. So you literally can walk through the entire neighborhood and see all of the homes to the left. Ooh, that's some orange right there. It's like pumpkin orange. So you can literally walk down the streets using that Google map. We see that on everything, but not a lot of us actually stop and play with it, right? Because we're always in a hurry. So keep in mind those parcels that you see right there, or these layers, you can add a lot more detail. Okay, so hopefully you're getting a couple of good examples. Let's jump back. So we talked about comparables. We did our map. We can see that, we've got some great comps right here. One of the things that I like to do, if you're working with a buyer in particular, is buyers aren't just looking in one small area anymore. Keep in mind, you can be very specific. If your buyer says, I'll give you an example. Your buyer says, Colleen, I really like Sterling Heights, but I really don't want to live north of 21. It's going to be a little too far from work. But you know what, that M59 traffic, I don't want to live south of that and have to, I kind of want to live right here. My mother-in-law, she lives on Lexington Street right here, so I don't want to be too close. We want to, not have her walking over every day. You can literally be as exact as you want. And you can do up to 10 shapes on your map, by the way. So you can do large areas, and there's all different drawing tools. Pretty simple. You're picking the drawing tool, and you are clicking to start and stop your lines anywhere you're looking. So maybe he's looking, again, north of 59, doesn't want to live by the mother-in-law, so we're going to do kind of an odd shape there, but hopefully you're getting the idea. And you can make them as large or as small. You can cover multiple cities, multiple counties. It just makes it that much easier. If you ever make a mistake, don't worry, you can't screw it up. Just hit edit, and all you're going to do is you're just going to pull those shapes off by clicking on the red X. It will drop the shape from your map. So pretty self-explanatory. All right, so we've got quite a few comps, but you know what? Whether they're actives or whether they're closed, one of the things that I have found helpful, especially if they're actives, so we'll use an active example. When I'm pulling up search results, because I've been doing this so long, I have been so lucky. I work with so many great agents. I would say 90% of the agents I have worked with have been just great experiences, and I've been very lucky. But I have had those 10% where they don't answer their phone and we're a day before closing and you're trying to figure it all out and you're thinking, you know what? I never get a purchase agreement from that guy again. I'm gonna be okay with that. Not show their listing, or I'm not saying that would be right, but if I'm gonna show 10 houses, they're going at the bottom of the list. So if you have people like that, if you've been in the industry long enough to know the good agents that you really had great deals and great experiences with, and you want to move them up to the top of the list, you can add an agent name in to your searching, and it makes it really, really simple when you're trying to filter which ones you're going to show first. So let me show you what I mean. So now, I've got our listings, and again, I do this mostly if I'm working with a buyer and looking at active listings. But when you're going into your results tab, you can add the agent name into your results tab. So I'm going to use Kathy because she's at my office. I'm going to say, I had a great experience working with Kathy. She was just a pleasure to work with. I'm just going to move her to the top of the list. I'm going to show hers first. You can actually do that. I'll give you kind of an example in actives. Let's do that. That'll kind of make more sense, I think. So if I go to, I'm going to do in my office. So if I pick on somebody, it's won't be quite as bad. So I'm going to say, okay, 11 new listings. These are what my buyers are looking at right now. Oh, you know what? I have to say I had just a great experience with Nick Tracy. I'm probably going to show his first. And then maybe I'm going to show Joseph's because he's a great agent. I'm going to show those two first. Not that I'm going to show the others, but if I'm going to put them in order, I'm going to put them generally in order of having a great experience with them, right? If you're showing 5, show the great agents first, right? So under customize, you can add the field, just like I did. I showed you this several times already, so I won't do it again, but you can go to fields and you can add the agent name. And this is going to allow you to see that right on your search results. So you can see it right off the bat. Okay. Makes it really easy. All right. So kind of jumping back to our searching. So we've got our results. And again, I've got a lot of closed here. There's not a whole lot on the market at this point. One of the other things, especially if you're looking for comps that I didn't know for a long time, it kind of drove me crazy because I have a little OCD. One, I like to sort them like an Excel spreadsheet so I can see what I'm working with. I can see my closed with my closed, my active with my active, right? But I don't want to see this other gobbledygook if it's not stuff I want to work with. So you can check the ones you want, hit the checked box, and it's only going to show you those ones that you wanted to work with. Makes it a little bit easier. So let's say I just wanted the 2 actives in this example. I could go ahead and simply check those. And I'm now just working with those particular listings. So hopefully that makes sense for you. One of the other things I wanted to show you, because we're talking about searching. So now we have our search results for our buyer. There's 2 listings. When our buyers are looking on sites today, they are looking on sites that are user-friendly. And let's face it, with today's buyer, if you sent them an MLS report like we have to look at, they'd be scratching their head going, I can't even read this. Why is it not easy? They want easy. So if you've not used the Collaboration Center is where you can set up a search, simply save it to the contact, and anytime there is a new listing that comes on the market that has all the criteria, it just shoots it over to that buyer so they see it right away. But it does a couple cool things. So let me show you. So let's pretend for a moment Mary set up their search. She's working with this great new buyer. There's a fee. Now, Mary wants to check, is the buyer going in? Is he getting these? Is he seeing these homes? Because I want to get him in right away. And so she's going to save his search, and I'll show you how to do this. And we have a whole class on this, by the way, so I'm just going to actually skim on the top a little bit. But you want to set it up so they're automatically getting these notifications. However, Mary wants to know, did he log in? Is he liking any of these? Is it also going to be simple for them to do? Because that's important too. So under your contacts right here, there is view and manage my contacts. And this is actually how you see the collaboration center. So I want to show you what the collaboration center looks like. And I am just going to pick somebody. We'll do this one. So when I go into view, I just want to click on view to show you what they see. So they can click things as favorite, they can mark things as possible, they can reject them. And basically, this is what it looks like when they get it. They can see new matches that match their criteria. They can click into view detail where they can see the seller's disclosure under documents. So they can view the seller's disclosures now. This is something you can give them access to that they don't get on Zillow and other sites, by the way. They can see the lead-based paint disclosure. They can see the room sizes. They can see the details. But here's where it gets good. I tell my clients to favorite any house that they want to see. And the reason I tell them that is because as soon as they favorite a house in the collab center that they want to see, because let's face it, stuff is still moving very fast. There's just not enough inventory. When they favorite it, it immediately comes to me, the agent, so I know that they favored it. So the next thing that kind of bugged me is, okay, that's great. They favored it. Now I got to pick up the phone and I got to call Megan. Hey, Megan, when are you going to be available to look at? I don't know. I got to check with Mr. Megan and we'll get back to you. Now the house is already pending, right? So here's a better way. Have them favorite it for houses that they love. And then from there, what you can do is you can ask them to just put in the time and date that they want to see it. Now, this does not schedule the showing, by the way. This just submits the time and date so you don't have to call them. If that works for your schedule, then you can go ahead and start scheduling those appointments. And if they favorite everyone they want to see, you can even set up a showing time cart. So it allows them, by the way, they can also, that same view I showed you, how they can walk down the street, they can do that. They can actually walk down the street and check out the neighborhood from here. You're giving them access to the seller's disclosure and lead-based paint documents. They can see the property history. They can see the map view, exactly where it is. There's community reports. There's all kind of great stuff in here. So they can do a couple things. They can favorite it. They can ask questions. They can reject it. They can share notes. If you have a husband and wife, or maybe you have two partners who want to share notes on a property, you can do that. And they can even set up their own searches. They can compare two listings side by side. So a lot of cool things. So I'm just going to show you one thing I really like. So this shows Megan how many things have been sent to her, how many she's flagged as possible, how many she's flagged as favorites. She can very quickly see that. Now, what I like is, again, if she favorites anything, I get those notifications. But I can see when she got her last notification. I can see when I added her. I can see when she last logged in. She logged in today. I can see when she got her last notification sent out to her. So I can see all of this right from my contact view. I don't have to go anywhere else. But let me show you my favorite piece. And you may have worked with the showing time carts before, you may not have, but let me explain. Showing time carts are one of my favorite features that so many people do not know is there. So what happens is when they favorite something, I can click on that number 3 and bring those listings. I just clicked on 2 more to favorite them. She had 3 and I added 2. She's probably going, what's going on? If I'm going to show these 5 properties, the last thing I want to have to do is go grab my phone, right? I grab my phone. I'm now trying to find it on a map. Which one should I start with? And, where am I going next? I don't want to do that, right? I want to have it show me everything. Plus, it could have blackout dates, and I'm trying to put my tour together now. It doesn't make sense. So if you haven't used the showing time carts, all you do is select the properties you want to show. You hit this actions button. I like to think of it as the easy button, if you will. You pick, I want to show these with showing time. Add a new showing cart. This is where it gets cool. You could add a new buyer, or if you've shown them properties before, you could just pick them from the list. You could say, you know what, I want to show those today. Now, here's where it does a lot of the work for you. If you're running out on lunch and you're going to show these fast, maybe I want to start with a go and show right here. Okay. I can see this one is not accepting online appointments. I'm going to need to call on it. So let's show these other four. Let's remove that one. And let's start with the go and show because I know I'm immediately going to get the lockbox while I'm waiting for these other ones to be confirmed. More than that, as I scroll down, now this is dropping them in from the MLS. But whoa, I'm never going to use that driving order from 1 to 2 to 3. Whoa, that's crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to put me in a route. That's going to put them in the logical driving order. That makes a lot more sense, right? Maybe I want to start from my office, so I want to flip that driving order around. Or maybe I just want to drag and drop one into a different position. You can do that as well. I like this because it shows you if there's any blackout times. I also like if you're covering a big area, if I'm going from Warren to Pontiac, well, I know it's going to take me longer. So I can see right here, it looks like it's going to be 28 minutes of drive time. So I can plan accordingly, especially if you're using electronic lock boxes. Remember, a lot of those only give you a 15-minute window on the before or after. And if you miss that, you got to reschedule. So you want to make sure that you're timing it adequately. So I'm going to say I want to do my go and show here from 11:30 to, we're going to say 12. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now my next one, I can see here's my order. So my next one, it's going to take me only 4 minutes. So I can probably select my next time for 12:15. Oh, looks like that one. Oh, sorry, 12:15. There we go, to maybe 1 o'clock. And I can order. And now what I can see here is that it looks like there is a blackout time on this property. So I can make sure that I'm missing that as I'm trying to schedule these. Once I hit submit or send requests right here, it will send all of those requests to be confirmed out. If you're like me, and I swear, I guess I'm lucky. I always seem to get the more challenging buyers. You get your tour all together, you're running out to go show houses, and they call and they go, Colleen, I found 2 houses on the Collab Center. So don't worry, you can even add those listings in after your tour is set up. Or maybe you're taking them to lunch in between and you want to put the restaurant stop in. And I'll tell you why. If you put all of these together and you send them out to be confirmed, you can even get turn-by-turn directions sent to you that you can forward on to your buyer. That way they're not calling Mary every 5 minutes like, what house we see next? What house we see next, Mary? It'll actually send them the logical order of driving as well as where the stops are. So really easy to use the showing time cards. I'm a big fan of them. I didn't know about them for a long time, so that was another thing that I wanted to incorporate into this class. With the Collab Center, again, the Collab Center is where your buyers are getting those auto notifications. All you have to do is save your search and marry it to the contact record. I'll show you how to do that next. But keep in mind, one of the things you want to do is anytime you want to check on your buyers that you've put in the Collab Center, it's really under your contacts. So I'm just going to close this so we can go back. Everything is under viewing your contacts, so you can see exactly when they went in. But there's also some cool things you can do in here. I'll give you some examples. As you know, I like examples. Of course, you can see what they favorite. They can ask you questions, all of that. But I literally had a client, it's kind of a little embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's like, having you as family. I had a wonderful client. We sat at the closing table and she said, Colleen, I'm so happy. My sister's looking for a home. I already told her about you. And I assumed, because this lady was so incredible through the whole transaction, that her sister was going to be very much like that. I was wrong. My second call from the sister was, I kid you not, just like this, Colleen, if you send me one more yellow-sided house, I am going to find another agent. And first of all, she had never mentioned she didn't like yellow siding. Second of all, there is no button in the MLS that says, hey, remove all yellow sided listings. So what you can do is you can actually set up an agent preview. And what that allows you to do, let's see if I have anybody set up on a preview right now. I don't think so. If you set them up on a preview, it basically allows you, the agent, to look at them first. So I can go into Megan's file and I can say, you know what, I am going to set this up so that the preview comes to me first as the agent. If it has yellow siding, I can say nope. If all the other ones don't have yellow siding, I can approve them and they automatically go on to Megan. There's also agent recommended within their profile. And this is one I have had great success with. One of my very best friends, Dawn Waldrop, a manager in Shelby for Real Estate One, she listed a house just outside of St. Clair Shores. Now, at that time, I was working with two buyers, first-time home buyers. I kid you not, they told me probably no less than 50 times, we only want to see houses in St. Clair Shores. Colleen, don't show us houses outside of St. Clair Shores. We're only going to be living in St. Clair Shores. So you know what happened? They bought outside of St. Clair Shores, right? So Dawn lists this house. I see it, and it was everything they talked about. But it was 3 streets out of St. Clair Shores. So when they were looking at what I set up their search to contain, it never popped up, right? So you can go to agent recommended and you can actually put in an MLS number that pops up and it says, hey, it's not your exact search criteria, but I thought you might want to look at this. And so, of course, they looked at it. They loved it. We wrote it right in the kitchen table, and Donna and I closed it up, thankfully. So sometimes we as agents, we know better what they're going to buy than they do, especially those first-time home buyers. So this is a great way to be able to manage those real life scenarios. So I'm a huge fan of the Collab Center. Let me show you exactly how to set up a person in the Collab Center. I promise we're wrapping it up. We're going to be done in about 2 minutes, so hang with me. When you go to search, so we put in all their haves and wants. Remember how we started off? We went to our search. We put in all their bells and whistles. So I'm just going to pull up the last search that we did just for the sake of time here. We're going to say they're only looking at actives. They're only looking, I never get in this price range, but let's say that I'm like the $50,000, $60,000 seller, it seems like lately, or $50,000, $60,000 agent lately. But let's say we put in all their criteria, what they're looking for. We know that they're looking in, let's say, Sterling Heights. I'm just going to add a little bit more criteria just to make it easy to see. Not a whole lot on the market, as you can see, especially in that price. So now basically what I want to do is I want to save their search as, because I have this great search with everything that they want. I now just want to marry it to the contact record. So I'm going to say this is Joe Schmagegi search, and I'm going to marry it to Joe Schmagegi, right? Because I want him to get the search results right away. So I'm going to say Joe Schmagegi, and I'm going to put in Joe's email. Okay, that's simple. So you are marrying the search record to the contact. So everything's in there. All I have to do now is hit save and notify, and I'm turning the Collab Center on for Joe. Now he's going to get those notifications, and you can even do things like set the time and date. If you have an investor who's getting just a ton of notifications, you could say, you know what, I only want him to get it Monday morning at 8 a.m. or every 2 days, whatever it happens to be. You can also do that for yourself. So you're not getting notified if you want to be CC'd. You don't have to be CC'd every 5 minutes. You could just get one weekly report of everything that got sent. There's also a history in here. So every single thing that gets sent to them, you can see. So if they call Mary and they go, Mary, you sent me a house 2 weeks ago and it had black shutters and I can't find it, but I'm thinking we might like to look at that because that's what happens, right? You can go back into your message history and you can actually find that. You can allow them to add searches. You can add, maybe they're looking for vacant land and a fixer-upper. You can add multiple searches to theirs. And by the way, under contact information, if they're maybe a partner or husband and wife and you want to add a secondary person to get those notifications, you can do that as well. There's also some prospecting, not prospecting, but CRM management tools. I like to kind of keep track of where buyers come from. I do a lot of fundraising at my son's school. So I like to keep track of buyers that maybe came in from Jake's school. So it allows you to kind of keep track when you're doing your mailing labels for your calendars or maybe your Christmas cards. You can actually pull from there and do labels right out of here. So there's some cool things you can do with your contacts. But it's really that easy. So now our collab center is set up for Joe Schmagegi, and we want Joe Schmagegi to get that welcome. Now, I kind of did this at a very high level because there's an entire class on this. And I went over a lot of different things. So don't worry, right about now, you're probably thinking, lady with the fuzzy hair, you talk really fast. This is a lot. And it is. I kind of skimmed over a lot of different things today, but I did record this class. So you can come back and you can watch this class as many times as you need to. Let me show you where the classes are. If I miss something or you have a question, now is a great time to put it in the questions box. But what we did is we know when you're taking all of these classes, or maybe you want to see the Collab Center class, we try to keep all of our tools under resources. So when you go into resources, you will find an education section that says recorded webinars. Under recorded webinars, if you go to the playlist, tomorrow you will see this exact class. If you go to, maybe you want a class on listing entry, there's a class for that. Maybe you have a question about showing time, or maybe you're trying to use some of the electronic lock boxes and you need a little help with that. There are classes on just about everything. If you go to the Paragon MLS system, tomorrow you will actually find Paragon's time-saving tips. And you will see that class with the date next to it. So you can watch it, you can fast forward to the exact spot that you need. All right, either I bored everybody to death and you've fallen asleep, or there isn't any questions, but either way, I would like to thank you so much today for taking the time to learn a little bit more about Paragon. I hope that you found a couple quick tips or tricks that will save you some time. I know it was kind of all the things that I didn't know were there, and I wish somebody would have shown me. So hopefully you picked up a couple things that maybe would be beneficial. If you have any feedback that you'd like to provide in the question box, by the way, I'll be the only one to see that. Feel free to put it in the questions box now. Again, if you have any last minute questions, we'd love to see those, and I can answer those very quickly. Other than that, I think we got out of here 5 minutes early, so I think that's good. Hopefully you're going to get out and enjoy a little of that chilly but beautiful sunshine today. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day, and happy selling, everybody.